Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about myself. So, I grew up in a white family. However, I am adopted, and my birth family is Filipino. My birth mom was half Filipino, so that makes me a quarter Filipino. Um, when I fill out anything that asks me my race, I usually put that I'm white just because I feel like I don't practice Filipino traditions. I don't really know anything about Filipino culture, so I feel like I identified more with white than Filipino, or usually on the list of races it says Pacific Islander slash Asian, but I don't usually put that. Um, I have started talking to my birth family in the past 3 years. I have a little sister. Um, and I have learned some about the Filipino background. I've learned some about the food, mostly the food. Um, I do have family that still lives in the Philippines. I haven't met them, but I've been in contact with them through Facebook. So going back to my white family, I grew up in St. Augustine, Florida. My family is generations of potato farmers. So, um, I would say that most people in St. Augustine have Southern dialects. Um, if you were to ask anybody from back home, they would probably tell you that I have a Southern dialect. I think that Southern dialect comes out more when I'm home. I think since I have started the CSD program at USF, I pay more attention to my speech. For example, in St. Augustine, a lot of people say oil instead of oil. If I'm not paying attention, I say oil instead of oil. I try to say oil, though, usually. So, yeah, I grew up in a single parent household, and I was doing a little bit of research. I wasn't really sure if, single parent households really had anything to do with culture. I think it does, and I came across this statement saying there is a cultural bias against single parents, an assumption that these households are less than incomplete and children suffer as a consequence. I don't feel like that at all. My adopted mom, who's my mom, I consider her my mom. She was always involved in my life. I definitely saw her go work at the hospital for overnight shifts, and then she would come into my school and volunteer. She would pick me up from school. She would drop me off at school. So I feel like she was definitely present in my life, and I don't think that I suffered or had any consequences because of this. I definitely didn't have that male presence growing up, but I don't feel like... I probably did miss out on some things, but I never had that, so I never really learned that part of having two parents. I feel like I'm definitely more independent because I grew up in a single parent household. My mom definitely taught me to voice my opinion and say how I felt. So yeah, I grew up as a Christian. We definitely didn't go to church every Sunday, and church wasn't something that was strict in our house, but I was taught to have a relationship with God and to have faith in God. Faith is something that's important to me. I think that faith should be important to everybody because you need to have faith in yourself and everything that you do. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my culture.